All right, at 7 p.m., I'm calling the Germantown School District Board of Education to order. Official meeting notification, Mr. Stousel.
Yes, public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those news media who have requested such notices, and to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the gsdwi.org website, as well as cable access channel 96.
Thank you. Roll call.
Medved.
Here.
Barney.
Here.
Reineman here. Soderberg.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Pollock.
Here.
Okay, I'd like you to stand if you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, reports. Student representative report.
I don't believe representative.
Okay. Item B, return to school update, Mr. Stousel.
So, not a lot to report during this session, but again, these are the community burden levels that you look from 2 weeks ago, where every municipality that needs it to our school is in the 200s. 2 weeks ago, 3 out of the 4 were in the 300s. This is the transmission. This is school transmission level. So this is based on the positive cases that are in schools. You can see a comparison with area schools, and if you look at the graph on the right, you'll see just in general the trend is going down. If you look at the comparison on the left, you'll see that our number at 228, just was as of Friday the 22nd, we were second lowest in the year. So we're hoping that we keep watching the dashboard, and right now almost every school is under 1%, and that's what we keep monitoring on a weekly basis. And then once again, this is the dashboard, and one thing with the dashboard, it's not perfect, because let's say a student left on a Wednesday and didn't find out they were positive. The test came back on Thursday or Friday. We go back and mark that positive on that Wednesday, so the numbers change a little bit. But again, we're looking for trends, we're looking at those percentages. In general, remember the high school, there was a period there for 2 weeks that they had 14, 15, 16, 17 cases. They were average, they were now they're 5. So, like I said, we're here to monitor it. We're happy that our numbers are under 1%. The model are at 1.4, 0.3%. Any questions on that?
All right, thank you. Item C, technology and information report, Mr. Stousel.
Yeah, so Julia Leeson is someone, I don't know if you've met yet, but she's new to us this year. She came from the Sheboygan School District, and she's spearheading our kind of the teaching and learning part of technology. And I just asked her to share a little bit of what she's been doing since summer, as well as some upcoming things from this year. So I'll hand it over to her, and she'll give me the head nod to move this along.
Okay, sounds good. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Perfect. Hi, yep, I'm Julia Leeson, and like Brett said, I came from the Sheboygan Area School District. Before that, I was a 4th grade teacher up in Howards Grove, so education is really my passion, and I enjoy working with students and teachers. So one of the things that I'm responsible for is providing professional development to teachers around best technology practices in the classroom. So here are just some of the professional development opportunities that I did already. So in August, I hosted a Google Bootcamp. It was 5 different sessions on Google Tools, and it was optional for staff to attend. So the staff picked the topics in a survey that I sent out, and then we had quite a few staff attend those sessions on their own time. So that was wonderful to see. During in-service at the end of August, we did a couple of sessions, one on Borderless Classroom, which was a new program that we rolled out for teachers grades 3 through 12. I did a follow-up on Seesaw for our K2 teachers and the elementary Schoology experience for our 3-5 teachers, as well as some information on Apple Classroom and iPad apps, again, for those younger grades. Coming up in November, I'm going to be doing a session on Clever for our K-5 teachers, and then also an almost paperless classroom session for our 6 through 12 teachers. And then partnering with our special ed department, we're going to be doing technology tools to support all learners in February. Also, in an effort to increase communication between staff and the community, I offer newsletters. So for our staff, it is a monthly newsletter that goes out. And these are just some of the topics that are in the newsletter. And we are able to track and see how many staff look at it and for how long and what links they click on through a program called S'more. And then there's also going to be a quarterly parent newsletter. So we had one come out before the school year started. Another one will be coming out in about a week or so, just to give updates on technology in the district, initiatives and things that are going on, as well as tips and tricks. So some additional initiatives for this 2021-2022 school year is our digital citizenship initiative, computer science skills, and then also technology in the classroom. So digital citizenship is one of my passions, and we just had digital citizenship week last week. So teachers at the elementary school were able to do lessons with their students, and also the middle and high school participated in various activities to teach students digital citizenship skills. And there's just a couple examples of different students that we're working on in their classroom. We also had all school assembly at the high school. We brought in a guest speaker to talk about cybersecurity and safety for our high school students. So that's the picture right up there in the middle. Zach Schramm, who will also be coming back tomorrow, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then we were posting helpful tips and tricks on our website for the community to also be safe and protect their personal information. So again, we have a cybersecurity awareness event tomorrow night here at the PAC at 6:30. Zach Schramm will be coming, and he is an amazing speaker. He is a cybersecurity analyst from Washington, D.C. He actually grew up in the Sheboygan area, and he has a wealth of knowledge. So he's going to be talking about how to keep your personal network safe, and then also your private information private. So the doors open at 5:30, and again, that's tomorrow, but we'll start the session at 6:30, and it's free for all and open to the community. Another passion of mine is computer science skills. So in the first week in December is actually Computer Science Week. With that, I will be sharing lessons and books and resources for teachers to use at all levels to teach our kids computer science skills. The library worked with me to purchase new books for our elementary libraries to get kids interested in coding and the computer sciences. And then we will be using some free online platforms to teach them those computer science skills. Another initiative is to work on bringing technology into the classroom. So I worked with Justin to bring in vendors for an interactive display gallery walk. We got some great feedback from the participants that came, and our next steps are to get some pricing and then meet with the technology committees at each level to discuss district recommendations. So these would be to replace our failing smart boards that we currently have in the district that are no longer being supported or just so old and outdated. Also worked with the libraries to bring in Osmo kits for our elementary schools via checkout at the library. These are great activities for our young students to learn a variety of skills. As you can see there, it can teach letter recognition and also letter sounds, as well as comprehension. There's a stories app, and it's a really great way to collaborate with pairs of students using an iPad, and it's hands-on, engaging, and a really fun resource that we brought into the schools. In addition to the instructional technology, I did take some of Scott Oftendale's responsibilities as well, like test coordination and the gifted and talented coordination. So we just finished our MAP testing. Scores were posted for parents last week. And then we have done some informal training with staff on how to read those MAP scores and how to use that in the classroom to differentiate instruction for our students. And then looking ahead, we have some additional testing that will be coming up that I'll help coordinate. And then as gifted and talented, we just administered the COGAT at the grades 2, 5, and 7. Scoring is to be completed in the near future. And we've been working with the PAGE group and TAG group as well.
Any questions?
Welcome,
Oh, thank you.
and thank you so much for doing this. I think this is one of the first times that we've had such a deep dive. So again, thank you so much for doing this, and welcome to the district.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great so far.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, thanks again. Moving on to item D, unfortunately, our special education parents were not able to make it tonight. We'll have to reschedule that one. So I will be skipping D, moving on to E, Germantown High School Wall of Sound, Mr. Stousen.
Yes, I want to hand this over to Bell and speak to the.
Welcome, Mr. Bell.
Hello. I wrote Mr. Salzman a letter, and just to make sure I cover everything, I'm going to read the letter to you. The Wall of Sound Marching Band season just completed their 2021 season with a successful state marching band performance at the UW Whitewater, earning their highest score of the year, 76.075 out of a possible 100, and a 4th place in Division AAA. And those students worked extremely hard all season, and there were tons of smiles and very proud musicians walking off the field at Whitewater as we ended. As their perseverance over last year reached their level of success, we started with open practices in April and May, weekly practices throughout the summer, a week-long camp in July, twice a week practices in August, September, and October. They performed at local parades and at the Kiwanis Taste of Germantown, Wisconsin Big Boy, the North Shore Bank on Mequon Road, home football games, 5 competitions, and they will perform at KMS in November. And this Friday, they present their indoor showcase in the field house at 7 p.m. Andrew Stone and I are the directors of the Wall of Sound. Audrey Burnham, who is a GHS class of 2014, teaches the color guard. Emily Sigismund, who is GHS class of 2021, works their drumline. There are 125 members of the group, and without the work of many people behind the scenes, the on-field success would not be possible. The volunteers fed the band, made sure they had water, fit the uniforms, made the props, designed shirts, chaperoned every event, loaded and unloaded equipment, cooked meals, donated food and water, and much, much more. There are 2 groups of people who deserve extra praise after the season. The senior student members did everything in their power to make the season a success. They learned their music and routine and then spent the rest of their time working with our younger members of the band. These students made sure everyone was successful and did it while smiling and having a great time. The parades, the football games, concerts, school social media, Sarah Noodle's Warhawk Pride give these students great exposure for their accomplishments. But I'm here tonight to share the impact the parents have had in the Wall of Sound. I cannot emphasize the positive impact they have on our program. The work of the chaperones allows the staff to focus on the student performances on the field. Knowing the students are well cared for by the chaperones mean the staff is working on ways to improve the next performance. The Warhawk Band Boosters is set up to provide this to the band program, and this year they went above and beyond. We had 156 volunteer slots filled, although there is some doubling up of names. These included chaperoning, working with the uniforms, fitting, repairing the uniforms. Our road crew are load things up here at the school, take them to the competition, unload them at the competition, get them in the student's hand, move them around to the field for the competition, move them back to the truck, load them back up, and then unload them and put them away at the end of the night. We've had people donating their photography prop building and their design specialty. The marching band, the band boosters feed the kids 5 days of our camp, 5 home football games, state marching band championships, and this Friday they will also feed them. Over 200 donations and volunteer slots were filled for these meals. All of these volunteers means the kids are well cared for. It also means that Andy and I can focus on the musical performance. The most remarkable thing was that after returning from Whitewater, more than one of these parents came up to me and thanked me for giving them the chance to volunteer. I am here tonight to let you know the Warhawk Band Boosters and these parents deserve a big thank you for the success of our marching band.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Just a side note, on my personal life, I had a son that worked with the band pretty extensively, so I know full well the amount of cooperation you need from people in order to make a success out of it. Congratulations to you and the successes you guys have had. We did get an email today from one of the parents from the Wall of Sound with glowing review of the activity of Wall of Sound and the ability for their child to excel in that and the amount of life skills that they learn being in an extracurricular activity that's as well put together as it is. So thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to item 4, citizen comments. I will remind everybody that we'll be doing the 3 minutes. And I would remind everybody as well that comments that are injurious to the school district personnel or other individuals will not be allowed. Please address the board and only the board and not other people and administration. First up, we have Amy Beeman. On deck will be Monica Curtis.
Hello, good evening. My name is Amy Beeman. I'm here tonight to represent the GEA. And if you have any questions at all that I can try to answer, I will if I can. And if I'm unable to, I will take it back to our leadership team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Monica Curtis and then Jenny Price.
Hi, my name is Monica Curtis. I live in Germantown. My husband and I have 2 kids, ages 7 and 4, in the Germantown School District. The first time I spoke with you guys here at one of these meetings, I told you all about my story about how at age 11 in the Germantown School District, I was physically assaulted twice by 3 high school boys on the bus. This happened, of course, because middle school and high school kids were being bused together. If it wasn't for my parents' persistence, the district at the time would have been all too happy to sweep that situation under the rug. It was only after I reported the first attack that they even bothered turning the cameras on. So last time I spoke about how my experience and how traumatic it was. And I warned you that busing the middle school and the high school children together would only lead to this happening again. But you decided to do it anyway. And it appears that history is repeating itself. So I'm not surprised. But I'm very disappointed and I'm angry. And frankly, I don't think the financial savings was worth the trauma that these children are now experiencing. So I told you so. Thank you.
Jenny Price and then Richard Beyond.
Jenny Price, Germantown. I'm here tonight to speak to you about the quarantine policies that are in place and the need to kind of change them. My boys were quarantined last week because my youngest tested positive. Now I have no problem keeping my sick kids at home. I would do that whether COVID was in the picture or not. What I do have a problem with is forcing healthy kids to quarantine. It's not, nor has it ever been done. You just don't quarantine healthy people. My healthy child was forced to stay home because his brother was sick. Now, should I make him wear a life jacket so his brother doesn't drown? That's kind of the logic that we're using here. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm asking that quarantine policies be changed. Let healthy kids come to school whether there is a positive in their household or not. Just because somebody in the household tests positive does not mean everyone is going to get sick. By the way, my healthy child who was forced to quarantine is, guess what? Still healthy. He lost a whole week of learning for no reason at all. He also lost all of his special ed services for the week that the school is required to provide. If you continue to quarantine healthy children, then I think you should do it across the board. If someone in the household has influenza, quarantine the household, quarantine the kids. Someone in the household has a head cold, quarantine the kids. Someone in the household has a stomach virus, quarantine the kids. Do you hear how ridiculous that is? It's just ridiculous. Never in a million years would you as a school board vote to quarantine a household due to a head cold or a stomach bug. COVID is a virus just like the other illnesses that I listed. It is not going away. How much longer are we going to continue with this charade? All that's happening with these policies is that they are creating a huge disservice to healthy kids. I will say that I can guarantee with 100% certainty that parents are sending their kids to school if there is a positive test in their household. They're doing it. I'll also tell you that if I or anyone else in my household gets sick again, I'm going to continue to send my boys to school unless they have symptoms. I'm not keeping my healthy kids home anymore. Another thing that I want to address is the blatant discrimination that you're allowing to happen to teachers. As the policy states now, if a household member of a staff member tests positive, a vaccinated teacher can still teach. An unvaccinated teacher must quarantine. How is this equal in any way? I'll tell you how, it's not. You cannot spin this in any way, shape, or form to make this equal treatment. Just stop trying to justify it because you can't. These teachers want to teach, let them. Obviously, they're smart enough to not come to work if they're showing any symptoms. You said yourselves at the last board meeting that a teacher could use up most of their sick days in a single quarantine. So a teacher has to use their sick days even though they're healthy. Then what? When they actually need their sick time, they can't use it. They don't get paid. How is that okay? So again, I'm asking for choice. You allow parents to choose to quarantine their child or not if a classmate tests positive. You allow a vaccinated teacher to choose to continue to teach or not. Let parents choose to send their healthy kids to school or not, even if someone in their household is ill. And for God's sake, let healthy teachers teach. Thank you.
Richard Bianc and then Alex Harding.
First of all, I want to apologize for sometimes being argumentative up here, sharing with you guys. I, like many, get passionate about what I'm saying, but I realize now that I'm here to present facts so you guys can make informed decisions based not on fear, hype, or misinformation, but on the facts. I am really troubled about your October 11th policy that makes a distinction between the vaccinated and unvaccinated teachers. I want to talk about the effectiveness and side effects of COVID vaccines. On September 29th, Senator Ron Johnson showed that even though the percentage of vaccines are growing, the new cases of COVID are not dropping off as the CDC and everybody expected. And in Taiwan from March of this year to October, even though only a fifth have been vaccinated, there have been more deaths due to the vaccine than COVID itself. Obviously, if the country were fully vaccinated, the vaccine deaths would be several times the COVID deaths. Israel mandates vaccines, and it's probably one of the most vaccinated countries, like 96% with 2 doses. A third shot is mandated, and a lot of people already have that. But the number of new cases per day is still on the rise. And because of that, Israel's considering a 4th shot. And by the way, a Harvard study, studying the data of Israel showed that people who had COVID were 13 times protected from COVID than someone who just had the vaccine only. I already shared about that province in India with 240 million people with less than 6% vaccination at 40,000 new cases a day in May. They promoted the use of ivermectin as a preventative. The numbers dropped like a rock to 19 per day in September. They also use ivermectin as a treatment. In summary, the data from the US, Taiwan, Israel, and India prove that getting a vaccine is no silver bullet. The data also shows that ivermectin and having the disease are the best deterrents. With these facts in mind, I'd like you guys to reconsider your policy of October 11th. Thank you.
Alex and then Kelly Betcher.
Good evening, Alex Harden from Colgate. So I'm here really just looking for the receipts from all the people who claimed that the world would be coming to an end if we didn't require masks this year. We're 2 months into the school year, masks haven't been required. And we were told by experts nationally, at the state and county health department level, even people in this room, that we'd be forced to shut down, we'd be forced to flip between virtual and live, that our kids' lives are at stake. Well, it's October 25th, and Brett's data speaks for itself. We're doing great. Kids have gotten sick and recovered just like they do every year from the flu, chickenpox, and every other coronavirus that's dogged humanity forever. And speaking of dogs, you guys see what Fauci did to all those beagle puppies? Sick. Now I'm not here only to dunk on these people. I'm here to point out that now listen, board, please. The people who were completely wrong in predicting the future months ago are the same people who will be demanding required vaccinations for kids. So just try to remember that when the demands for vaccine mandates start in a few weeks for kids. Now on the CRT front, I just want to make sure that the board is following exactly how diabolical this critical race theory nonsense is. And first, I do recognize and appreciate your relatively recent actions banning CRT and scrutinizing some of the curriculum recommendations from she who will apparently not be named, I guess, but that can't be the end of the discussion. In case anybody here isn't aware, earlier this month, the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, appointee of Joe, we're going to leave or abandon hundreds of Americans in Afghanistan by who wrote a little letter to the irreproachable and nonpartisan FBI directing them to investigate troublemakers like me and my friends behind me for daring to talk into this microphone at school board meetings because we're very dangerous and intimidating or something. Further, during his House Judiciary Oversight meeting last week, or his hearing last week, AG Garland revealed that the chief source for his directive wasn't copious data from local law enforcement officials indicating an uptick in criminal activity at school board meetings. No, his source of information for this letter was another letter from the National Association of School Boards, which characterized filth like me as domestic terror threats. Let's go, Brandon. I bring all this up because it's very clear that there will be a continued effort to ignore the will of parents and taxpayers and even supplant the authority of the school board in order to cram more of this Marxist, anti-American dogma into our kids' heads. The NEA Washington affiliate stated as much by saying that teachers have, quote, broad leeway in implementing curriculum, quote, whether that's by choosing which books to read or by selecting which units on which to spend more or less time. I wonder if Brett and Brenda are aware of such activity in our district. Furthermore, I wonder what Brett and Brenda would say if the board demanded tonight that next week's teacher in-service sessions be live streamed and recorded in their entirety. Thanks.
Kelly and then Jody Graf.
Good evening, Kelly Betcher, Richfield. I'd like to speak a little bit more about transparency. We've all come up here multiple times and asked for greater transparency. I know that it was asked of Brenda when she thought she might be able to provide this transparency. I'm asking you tonight to give a hard deadline. Every other job has deadlines, and people that don't meet those deadlines, they face corrective action. If you are a clinical drug trial study participant and you don't meet your deadlines, you receive a stipend, which is a pay deduction. I'm not saying to reduce her pay, but I know she makes a substantial amount of money for what she does and doesn't do. And transparency should be part of that. Give her a deadline. Don't ask her when, tell her this is when. And if it doesn't get met, then we need to see consequences. Because we don't need to keep asking this over and over again. The other thing that I would like to address is, again, the discrimination of the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. I believe it's everybody's choice whether or not they want to get vaccinated. However, employers really like the vaccines, the flu vaccine for many years in particular, and the COVID vaccine is no different. It's not designed to prevent you from getting COVID. It never was. It is designed to prevent you from being less symptomatic. However, you do not shed less virus when you have the vaccine because you're less symptomatic. Therefore, for everybody around you, it is actually more dangerous because you feel better, so you're out and about shedding that virus. If you don't have the vaccine, you feel more sick, therefore you stay home and you keep that virus to yourself. So if we're really looking to do what's in the best interest of everybody, stop forcing the vaccine, let it be a choice. And for those people that don't have it, they're gonna feel more sick, they're gonna stay home. We need to stop the discrimination. It's against schools, the school district's policy to discriminate. And this is another form of discrimination. Thank you.
Joni and then Jenny Hetzel.
Thank you. Jody Graff, Germantown. Some of my favorite things to do are help people know their extreme worth, coach them to achieve their goals, and catch people doing things right. So to that end, I'd like to quickly praise Coach Jake Davis. And the way I understand, he spearheaded the Mindset and Leadership program at Germantown High School. I've been reading one of the book assignments, The Energy Bus, with my 10-year-old, and we both totally applaud the content and the positive message of self-confidence, teamwork, leadership, knowing your worth as well as that of others, and how everything we do is a choice. Each position held on this stage has extreme value and constant opportunity to make a positive difference. So thank you for your contributions and self-sacrifice to fill these seats. And so too does every single person in the community have the same opportunity to stand up for good in this community every single day. Parents, please get here, participate, speak up. Is anything more important than your kids, than your freedom of speech? Whatever ignites you, get passionate and get involved. It's your choice to make a change, and it's also a choice to just think someone else is going to create the change that you seek. So thank you to everyone who sees something and says something for making a difference. Thank you to the board for your dedication to the community. Please continue to stand strong for positivity, for ethics, and for equality. As a school board, you have a massive opportunity to stand for equality among your teachers, and I hope you choose to take it on with grave seriousness to support the Constitution and medical freedom. I'd like to continue asking you, please stop forced quarantining household contact for your unvaccinated teachers. You trust and implore your staff, and if you don't, they shouldn't be here, so please evaluate that. But allow your amazing and trusted staff to make their own responsible decision based on being symptom-free. Allow them to work if they're feeling it's a sound decision for their coworkers and their students. This will not only stop discrimination against unvaccinated teachers, but will also aid towards alleviating your staffing shortage. As a parent, I have to wonder, if you won't stand for your own staff, how do we, the parents, have any confidence that you're going to stand up for the kids, for their medical choice and their freedom and comfort? Where will the dominoes stop falling? Please stay true to GSD's commitment to no discrimination and equality. Stand for freedom and allow people to make responsible decisions for their choices. Stop discrimination against unvaccinated teachers. Allow everyone to choose to quarantine or choose or not when they have household contact. Allow everyone to work if they're confident and comfortable in doing so. Thank you.
Jenny, and then Sandy, PA.
Jenny Hetzel, Germantown. I did email you, so you are aware, my daughter received 2 Fs because of the policy that she had to quarantine, and because she wasn't in school, she got an F for participation the first week and an F for participation the second week. I addressed it with the teacher, the principal, nothing is being done. I was told that, having a virtual option for kids quarantining is not sustainable, and yet other districts in the area are doing it. I was told that people have missed time for vacation, religious purposes, major injuries and surgeries. My family does not pull our children for vacations for 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever it is. We want our kids in school, especially when they're healthy. Our daughter in 9th grade never got COVID, even though I had it. She stayed home for 2 weeks, was bored out of her mind, and then was stressed out upon returning. So I just feel very strongly that this quarantining, something needs to be remedied because it's not working. I was told that a staff member is disappointed that I believe staff does nothing to try and remedy situations. It's not something I believe, it's something I've experienced. My daughter's in 9th grade. She's our oldest child. We have 4. I have gone to 3 times. I've gone to a principal, and each of those 3 times, nothing has been done. So 3 times isn't a lot in 9th grade. I don't complain a lot. When I complain, it's something serious, it's something big. And to have nothing done is so frustrating. There's just no accountability. We pulled our younger 3 children out of this district because of the lack of accountability. A huge issue at Rockfield was brushed under the rug to the point where we actually are paying private school tuition to avoid that school. Like, that's a big issue, and nothing was done. The accountability across the board, principals, teachers, it needs to change. Our son is in 3rd grade, and his new school, he said, kids actually get in trouble when they're naughty here. Like, it breaks my heart that he notices at Rockfield, nothing is done when kids misbehave. It's a little chit chat with the principal and back to class. Like, there have to be consequences. These behaviors are getting out of control. Like, I just want to trust where I'm sending my kids. These are my babies. I love them. I want to trust the people that are taking care of them, and that trust has been broken. Like, I'm so happy where we are, and now here we are back, our 1 child still in Germantown, and we're having issues again. And I just feel like I'm not being heard. And I do feel like coming to the board, you guys have been making changes, and I do appreciate that. But the principals that I've talked to 3 times, nothing is done. It's just very frustrating. So thank you for your consideration to future action.
Sandy, and then John, PA.
Sandy PA, Germantown, Wisconsin. I really didn't write anything out tonight, but I do want to compliment our teachers for being so wonderful and supportive and working so hard for our children during such a politically divisive time in our public schools. And I'd like to compliment all of you for hanging in there when people try to make it a big political issue. Public schools aren't a political issue. Public schools are education, pure and simple. And if parents want to know what the curriculum is, sit down like I did with my daughter all the way through high school and review her homework, review her textbooks. During dinner, talk about what they talked about in school and how her day went. That's being a responsible parent in support of not only teachers, but their child and the school board. I'm really tired of hearing the school board and the teachers be blamed for things that are the parents' responsibility. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
John, and then we have Kevin Curtis.
John P.A., Germantown, Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I don't want to say anything about masks, vaccines, COVID. What I do want to ask you a question about is, last board meeting I was at, you were complaining about the cost of paper and running syllabuses and saving money on paper. My question is, my water bill is going up 83%. What's going to happen with the school water bill? Has anyone looked at that, and what are we going to cut? Yeah, what is the school water bill going to shoot up about almost double? what's going to be cut from that? I mean, or are we going to have a lot higher taxes because of it? I mean, I don't know. I'm posing that. Has anyone thought about that? Because I know it's relatively new. You know, I think we should be discussing more of that than worrying about all the others. As far as anything about vaccines, there's a law. Let's disregard all vaccines, including polio, diphtheria, pertussis, get rid of them all. It's our right to do whatever we want. But please let us know what you want to do with the budget, and what you're going to cut, what you're going to outsource. Because I got a funny feeling your water bill's a lot higher than mine. Just a guess. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Kevin, and on deck is Scott Heffley.
Hi, my name is Kevin Curtis. I have 2 kids in the Germantown School District, ages 7 and 4. Before I talk about what I came here to talk about, I just want to say that I have been seeing more masks in the schools, and I'm glad to see that, because I know that is one of the reasons that our numbers are down right now. That's one of the reasons we're not spreading this as much as along with the quarantines that we're doing for in household, because those people are the ones who are sharing it the most with each other, not just with the students. What I really want to talk about was the school buses. And from what I've been hearing about this is that it's not just physical, but it's also verbal and racial slurs being said at these school buses. And I think to myself, this is exactly why we need to talk about diversity in Germantown School District. We are a very white school district with growing the numbers of people of non-white people. There's going to be some conflict here and there, and we need to talk about how to handle our diversity correctly. We need to talk about how we learn about the history of our country, both through the textbooks we have and through the lens of how we see it now. Because our textbooks can tell us some things, but it will not tell us how it is compared to our country right now. One of the main things about that is talking about anti-racism. It doesn't mean just saying you're not racist. It means getting rid of racism. It means fighting racism at every corner that you can find it. It means making sure that everyone here is treated equally with the same respect based upon the things that they cannot choose. Thank you.
Scott, and then Alyssa Powell.
Good evening, Scott Heffley, Germantown. Nothing about the budget tonight. I think the last time that I spoke, the budget was good to me, even though I'm the budget guy, right? But a couple things I wanted to circle back on that I had mentioned at the previous board meetings. One is looking into, and I know we're working on work for our curriculum, but we need to come up with baseline metrics, okay? My parents are both retired public school teachers, and they had baseline metrics in the 70s, 80s. And it's high time this school district had some sort of baseline metrics we can compare against. Like I brought up last time, a school district not far away from here, Cedarburg, of course, their infection rates are high, but they have an excellent school district. And it pains me to say that being from Grafton, but they have an excellent school district. And what they did is they do performance bonuses for teachers that are beating the metric, okay? We have a lot of great teachers here. Let's see who can beat the metric. Perhaps there's a way to financially incentivize them so I don't have to keep coming to board meetings and hear about the 5 people that quit or resigned or moved on. When it's retiring, I get it, but I hope we're doing something about all these people that are leaving. Are we doing an exit interview? Why did you leave? What happened? What could you have done to make you stay? Because man, we're losing a lot of teachers, and that you can't replace that experience. The other thing is that I brought up in the past is you guys know what, your nomenclature for it as a punch list. How's the punch list going? Are we ever going to get any kind of report on where we are with C.G. Schmidt and all these disasters that we have with these buildings? Because it's been going on since the referendum building ended. We all know that. You guys know it. I think the taxpayers, we deserve to hear a report on what the heck is going on. It could be monthly, every other month, put something out there. Where are we at? And I understand there's a lot of closed session stuff on all this. Give us an update. I mean, are we ever going to see the end of this? Or am I going to be up here complaining about this for 3 more years? I certainly hope not. I did see that we have the virtual school going. I am in favor of that we do our own, that we do it the right way. I did see last Thursday that they had a governance board that they set up. 5 o'clock meeting, Zoom call. I was busy at work. Who was on the board? When the ACE committee set up the whole committee, I had to ask Mr. Stouslin privately who was on the ACE committee. This is not transparency. Again, who is on the governance board? Is it a representation of parents and everybody like it should be? Get the information out. I know it was just last week, but I expect by the next board meeting to hear something. I don't know if that's unrealistic or not. The final thing, which I don't think, is going to be popular, as this came to me a couple days ago. I really think that we should take a look on our school board having term limits. And my opinion is it should be 3 terms, 9 years. I mean, in 9 years, if you ran on a platform, if you didn't get done what you need to get done, you got 9 years, okay? We can't do anything about Washington. Maybe we can do something here. We certainly have 2 new board members that thought they could make a difference. Thank you.
Alyssa, and then Ellen Godfrey.
Hi, Alyssa Powell of Germantown. I want to talk about curriculum and transparency with the curriculum. There is more stuff uploaded to the website, which I am thankful for, but it's very vague and generic. So just to give a couple examples, under the elementary school literacy curriculum, it directs you to the Fountas and Pinnell website, which has no details specific to how that curriculum is being used in our classrooms. For the elementary social studies curriculum, it also does not provide any information of the different resources that are being used to deliver this education. And the outline that is posted, it is a good start, but it needs to be expanded and built out more. For the middle school science curriculum, it directs you to the Amplify website. Again, showing a generic web page that any random person can find online. It does have numerous core curriculum and supplemental curriculums on the website, but I have no idea which of those is actually being used in our classrooms. I am just using these 3 examples, but there are many more of how the curriculum is not posted in a meaningful way for parents to know what is being taught in the classrooms. We need to be seeing lesson plans, a weekly plan of these are the topics that are being taught. Here's the material that's being used. When I was in school, we came home with a physical textbook that was like 300 to 400 pages. That's not being used as the standard in most schools today. It's a lot of stuff that's online and supplemental material pulled from multiple sources. So while yes, parents do want to be engaged, we want to know what's happening in the classrooms, we can't do that when kids aren't bringing home the homework and there's nothing physical for us to see. And I think it's also really disappointing that when an elementary school student comes home and tells mom and dad about a book that was read in class, and it sounds a little questionable, kids don't explain things well. So the parent asked the teacher, can you please tell me the name of the book that was read? And the teacher responded, you'll need to file a FOIA request. That is not okay. If you want transparency, if you want trust between the teachers and the staff and the parents and the board and the administration, simple things like that could be solved by just sharing the information. Why does it need to be a FOIA? I am happy to file FOIAs all day long, but I think there is way too much red tape for simple things that could be solved with proper curriculum transparency. Thank you.
Ellen, go ahead.
Hi. I first wanted to thank the board for remaining strong in your convictions and allowing masks to remain optional in our schools. I have been unable to attend several of the last school board meetings, but have been religiously watching the live stream for every meeting from home. And I see that there continues to be much talk in regards to requiring masks in schools at every meeting. The reason I have been unable to attend in person is very personal. It's because my husband has been undergoing a clinical trial for an extremely aggressive form of leukemia. In addition to leukemia, he also has lupus and a kidney disease. The reason I mention my husband's medical issues is not for pity or for shock value, but to give you the perspective from an individual who is undergoing cancer treatment and has autoimmune diseases. So, do we believe that COVID is real? Yes. In fact, 4 out of 5 of us just had COVID go through our house in the last month. In order to keep my husband safe, we temporarily moved him out of the house because yes, it can be extremely dangerous for him. In regards to masks, he will wear an N95 mask when he goes to certain places to keep himself as safe as possible. However, does he believe that this should also be a requirement for every single healthy person, including our children? No, absolutely not. He believes that it is his responsibility to keep himself safe, and it should be a choice we make for ourselves. We do not judge anyone for making the choice to wear a mask. As I just mentioned, he sometimes wears one himself. So let me be perfectly clear. My husband believes in freedom of choice and chooses not to live every day in fear. I personally find it very ironic that no one seems to talk about requiring that masks be worn at professional sporting events, including indoor basketball games, baseball games where the roof is sometimes closed, or even football games where people sit in very close contact. But yet we continue to try to justify the requirement to force our children to wear masks, or to not force our children to wear masks at schools, as this is somehow much more dangerous. I'm sorry, but to me, this just doesn't make logical sense. It truly boils down to just two simple words: it's power and control. I mean, this is just kind of an ad lib, but I have personally in the community seen a lot of these people that are advocating for masks not wearing them indoors. I mean, there are so many people that I feel like are being hypocrites in what they, if you're not going to practice what you preach, it's really not fair to try to force it upon other people. So we, the parents, will continue to actively advocate for our freedom and our right for our children. And then I just had one more thing to ask, and it's just a side note. I was wondering if we were tracking how many quarantine students are testing positive in the household for when we're requiring, you know, the kids to stay home. Like I said, all my kids tested positive one after the other. I was just curious of other situations. But thank you for everything you do for our district, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's all for public comment tonight. I just want to address a couple of things, at least one. We had talked about the vaccine mandate for teachers at the last meeting, and we were going to bring that forward. I take responsibility for not putting that on the agenda. That was my mistake, and we will bring that back for discussion and possible action at the next board meeting. I had it in my notes, but I forgot my notes when we went over the agenda. I'm not making excuses. I goofed up, and I take responsibility. So that will be on the next agenda. I will be sure of that. Okay, moving on. Item 5, approval of the minutes, October 11th, 2021, Board of Education. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes of October 11th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Moving on, item 6, Insurance Committee. Mr. Barney?
Yes, the GEA asked that the insurance committee come together to discuss the renewal ahead of tonight's meeting because they had some concerns about the health insurance plan. During that meeting, we discussed the differences between a PPO and an HSA plan, and we discovered that some employees may not know all of the differences, including how much the district contributes to the HSA plan or even how an HSA plan works. USI, who's our consulting group for insurance renewals, mentioned us that they have a lot of videos that they can share. So once open enrollment starts, we hope to get those videos out to employees so they can make a better decision about which plan to go with. That was the basis for what we discussed at the meeting. I'll go into some of the motions we're bringing forward, and if you have any questions, I'll entertain them. So regarding item B, discussion and action to approve dental and vision insurance renewal. The proposal that we received offers a 0% increase for dental coverage and 0% increase for vision coverage. So based on that proposal, the committee brings forward a motion to recommend that the board move forward with the same plan without any changes.
Okay, that comes forward with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
All right, and then regarding item C, discussion and action to approve the health insurance plan renewal. I'll give you a little bit more background. We do offer two different plans, a PPO and an HSA, with the rates being very different between them. For example, the full cost of a family PPO plan is roughly $500 more per month versus the HSA plan. Last year, the board approved a motion that covered 50% of the difference for the PPO plan versus the HSA plan, with the thought that in the future, we would only contribute up to the amount that we do for the HSA plan. Meaning if an employee would like to keep the PPO plan, they would essentially have to buy up to keep that plan. So today they buy up, and based on the recommendation from the committee, they'll continue to buy up at a higher rate than they have done in the past as we move towards a defined contribution, which could take place next year, or I guess we'll see how the renewal goes. So based on that, the committee brings forward a motion to the board with a positive recommendation to adopt the all changes with OV modification plan. So if you're looking at this sheet, it's the middle column. Some of the titles were changed, but that's the plan that the committee was working on. And to implement the rate plan labeled splitting the differences. We'll also maintain with and without wellness rates. Without wellness penalty will be 5% additional cost relative to the premium as it has been in previous years.
Okay, that comes forward with a positive recommendation, does not require a second. Do we have discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you, Mr. Barney.
That was all from the committee. Thank you.
Moving on to new business, discussion and action to approve early childhood credit applications and Start College Now applications.
Yes, I'm gonna hand it over to Mrs. O'Brien.
For the spring semester, we have 2 students who submitted paperwork to attend a UW system school for through the early college credit program. We have 11 students who submitted paperwork to attend a college, technical college for the certified nursing assistant course, the CNA course. And we have 2 students who submitted paperwork to attend a technical college for non-CNA related coursework. And then because this question gets asked about how much it is to enroll a student and how much we get back through a grant, I've included that in your board background as well. So you can see that every year the amount of the grant per student goes down. So it's never really, we're not able to give you the dollar amount for that, but you can see the estimate that we've been receiving for the past few years. So again, we submitted, what was it? We submitted 77 names of students who received an industry certified certification, and we're expecting to receive approximately $50,000 from that grant.
Any questions?
Brenda, I'm just wondering, what does the 2 students submitted paperwork to attend technical college for non-CNA related courses? What can you say what courses those are?
I'm sorry, Ms. Reineman, do you have the paperwork? Because it does say on the paperwork, I just didn't include it.
You mean to hand them to you or try to figure out where it is?
It's about in the middle. It's in the middle of the document there. It's the last 2 in that first paper clip.
So the Chinese?
No, that would be ECCP, I believe, right? That's
Start
the
College Now.
Yep. So go to the 2 in the back, I believe it is. Halfway down, it'll say the course title.
Right now, these are all nursing assistants.
Yep, keep going. There's 2 in the back that are not.
Evaluating diversity and auto service fundamentals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the early college credit program, ECCP, and Start College Now requests as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Moving on to item B, discussion and action to approve teacher contracts. Mr. Noah.
Thank you. We have 2 contracts to bring forward this evening. The first is Christina Garthwaite, special education teacher for Rockfield Elementary School. She is being recommended for this position as a result of a resignation of Leanne Zesch earlier this year. This is a limited term, 1.0 FTE contract for $30,400. The second is for Kristen Johnson. This is a position that we brought forward earlier. It's a physical education, part-time physical education position at MacArthur and Rockfield Elementary. I have with me Principal Gonzalez and Principal Crowett from both schools to speak to the positions if need be. This is a limited term, 145-day, part-time 0.6 FTE position for $21,204. We ask that you approve both as noted.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the 1.0 FTE limited term contract for Christina Garthwaite at $34,921 and the 0.6 FTE limited term part-time contract for Kristen Jensen at $21,204.
Second.
Any discussion? Ray?
On the physical education teacher, where did we come up with the extra $11,000 to pay for that position?
Literally with movement of positions, with resignations, we go through fluctuations all the time. That amount of money is present as a result of some of the ins and outs that we've had. But on top of that, there's a significant need for these positions, which in my mind trumps the dollar amounts that we're talking about. If you'd like to speak to it.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a question. This really has nothing to do about the contracts at hand, but saying that it's an opportunity to talk about teachers. We just had a constituent come up saying that we're doing a poor job in terms of treating staff and we have a revolving door. I think that was the same board meeting when staff was giving an overview on the virtual academy and who exactly was on the governance board. That was discussed in open session. And I did ask at that time for a report out in terms of year-over-year metrics, in terms of what our attrition rate is for our staff.
Yep, we're working on that. We'll have it at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That passes. Moving on to item C, resolution authorizing the issuance of sale of approximately 81,875,000 taxable general obligation refunding bonds. Brittany.
Turn it over to Mike Clark from Robert W. Baird.
Okay.
Good evening. Nice to see you again. This is the almost the total end of the process. And I'll get into that in a second, is regards to refunding the district's referendum approved debt. If you open up to the, and I apologize, going back, you might not be able to see that, but there's a summary of the issue that you have on the agenda tonight for approval. Again, it's a taxable obligation refunding bonds. The taxable means that the buyers of the bonds pay taxes on the interest they earn, so it requires a little bit higher interest rate. Because right now, you cannot refund under IRS rules with tax exempt debt. We've talked about that a while ago, but just for a refresher, for those who might be in the audience wondering why that might be the case. The settlement date will be November 15th. Then you chose the maturities that we're refunding. We're not refunding all maturities of the existing issue. We're leaving some in place, and I'll talk about that in a second. So then the first interest will start up this spring. It'll be part of the debt levy that the district will be approving tonight, I believe. Moody's did affirm the district's AA3. The district has made some good strides the last few years in terms of budget variances, balancing the budget, those types of things, so that went well with the Moody's, which definitely helped. The interest rate, 2.23%. And again, we'll compare that to what the district had been paying in a second. So total savings, and again, I'll expand on the savings component, but from just the refinancing, there's a couple of parts to this that will add to the savings, which I'll talk about in a second, is just under $2.6 million or present value of $425,000, meaning if you had all that savings today, it'd be equivalent to that. for a savings percentage of 0.597%. If you go to the next page, it has even smaller prints and smaller numbers. But it shows the before debt, the before refinancing, your current debt profile, and then the refinancing. So again, another component of this refinancing was not just the interest savings, but also the state aid retention, the state aid that you're not sending elsewhere, you're able to hold on to for your taxpayers. Again, under the before column, you'll see that we're projecting based on the district's current aid percentage, that $43 million cost of state aid loss to the district. And if you travel to the right hand side, you'll see estimated state aid under the refinancing. It's a positive $5.5 million. So that's a $48 million positive swing of state aid that's staying in the district. Again, state aid does one thing, that offset district's tax levy. That's the only thing that state aid does. So that's an aid benefit beyond the interest savings that I identified. The other thing that we ran into, and again, this has been a long process, as you're all aware, and we've run into things at DPI and the IRS and things, is the fact that one of the goals was to pay the debt off sooner, which we are, because the existing last payment of the debt was scheduled for 38. And now the scheduled last payment is 34. So we're shortening it by 4 years. And actually, we hope to even shorten it by more, at least one more year. But one thing we ran into is the fact that we were shortening it so much, and there's an escrow involved, and there's an IRS provision as it relates to, it's called universal cap, which I had never encountered, but I became aware of that the district was paying it back faster than what the IRS allowed because of the tax exempt original issue and the escrow involved. And what that did, if you paid it off faster than what their provision would allow, it opens the district up to a potential arbitrage issue in the future. Even though it wasn't a significant risk, we just wanted to mitigate that. So you'll see about a third of the way over from the left, it says additional levy for hypothetical cash defeasance. If you follow that down, you'll see 2 years where there'll be debt levy. We originally had debt payments scheduled in those years. We were going to levy those dollars anyway, because if you follow it over, you see the payments aren't to that level. We couldn't have payments, but what you can do in those years is you can levy and prepay the debt ahead of schedule. You just couldn't have scheduled payments because of this provision that I've been with Baird 21 years, I've never encountered. So it's just, so what that does, if you go to the next couple of pages, it sets up cash defeasances. And cash defeasances are nothing other than pre-funding of debt payments. So the first one really doesn't generate any, generates $22,000 additional savings. That one is being done for structuring purposes, because remember, we're on alternating years of payments hitting the aid formula. But you go to the next two where we're actually using those dollars, that hypothetical levy, it generates an additional $890,000 of savings first year. And then the larger one will generate an additional $1.79 million of savings. Again, all taxpayer savings. So we're getting the higher savings that we've talked about. We just have to get there in a different way because of the universal cap provision in the IRS code, which I'm by no means an expert in, but I have a much better understanding than I did 2 months ago. And thanks for the work with Quarles and Brady helping us through that. So great result for the district. And so what those defeasances will also do, it'll be eliminating a payment out in 34. So actually your debt issue will be paid off in 33, so it'll be 5 years early. And that'll also add probably about $5 million of aid benefit. So we'll be probably over $50 million of aid retention, aid that the district will be able to keep because they're not having expenditures in every other year. So great result. It wasn't quite what we first envisioned in terms of what we were hoping to do. But in terms of benefit to the taxpayers, I could easily say that this refinancing will generate more taxpayer savings than any refinancing I've ever dealt with prior to this. So. Again, this is a structure because we looked at some different things initially that DPI wasn't necessarily aligned with. This is a structure I've used in both Wauwatosa and Pewaukee, so it's a known, established structure, so we don't have any issues there. So, and then the credit rating report is at the end. Again, I had very positive things to say about the direction that the budgets have gone the last couple of years in terms of not being deficit situation and being neutral, and felt good about where the district was going from a finance perspective going forward. So with that, I'll conclude my comments and take any questions if there are any.
Okay, to bottom line it for us, you threw a lot of numbers out there, a lot of savings total to the district over the whole process of refinancing this loan. What I'm hearing is that we'll save for taxpayers roughly $50 million.
Yeah, it's a good round number. It's probably going to be more than that. We've used some conservative numbers. And one thing that I didn't point out that I meant to is every year going forward, the scheduled debt levy is less than what you have on your agenda tonight. Net impact between the aid. Because so the district will have, I think, other opportunities beyond just what we're showing tonight to levy more to pay the debt down even more quickly if it would so choose. We can't necessarily, we haven't planned for that, but the levy requirement for the taxpayers going forward as it relates to the referendum debt will be less than what was currently scheduled. Again, part of that because we couldn't pay it back as fast as we wanted to. So you will have that option going forward to even improve upon the savings to even greater extent.
And just to be clear, the $50 million is directly to the taxpayers, and the levy that we have going forward, they're going to save that money. We're not adding that to our budget.
Yeah. You're not even printed, even if you wanted to, which I know was never the intent of this, and we've talked about it numerous times. It's purely taxpayer relief because the referendum process gives the district the ability to levy extra to pay the debt. And if the debt ends up costing less than what was anticipated, that's purely taxpayer savings. And you can't repurpose those dollars or levy for any other purpose.
Okay. Any other questions? Mike?
I'd just like to thank you, Mike and Brittany, for working on this. The numbers are huge. It's hard to believe that it's possible, but I believe it. And Mike, I hope you're going to be around a while to, in case any questions come, down the road in the next couple of years.
Well, I do buy a lottery ticket once in a while on those late nights driving back from board meetings where I'm just filling up the gas tank. But no, we've worked through this. And again, one of the things I'm more comfortable with, because the initial structure that we had hoped to do that had the potential even to have greater savings was a little bit more involved. This structure, once we get past those first couple of defeasances in the next couple of years, which I will be here to work with the district through, it becomes just a simple levy pay per the schedule. And again, it's an established structure that other districts have used. It's a great result for the district. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, yes. You have the motion has changed because whenever we go into a refinancing, especially when it involves an escrow, we never know exactly what the escrow investments are, how much we're going to earn in the escrow. And so the dollar amount on the motion is changed. So the final resolution has the final number. So it's changed slightly. So the final number should be the 81,795,000. Is that what's on top of the resolution?
But the motion in your packet was the motion prior to it.
Oh, yeah.
Finalized today.
Yeah.
So whoever reads the motion tonight. will
Just
have
make sure
to-
it's the updated
Correct.
amount.
81,795,000.
The correct amount is 81,795.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. Motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of approximately $81,795,000 taxable general obligation refunding bonds.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you so much. Obviously, our tax buyers, I think, thank us as well. Item D, discussion and action to approve final 2021-2022 budget and levy.
Sure, I think I'm on, yes. So on September 27th, we had the annual meeting and the budget hearing, and stated during that meeting, you were informed that there are finalized numbers that usually happen between then and the end of October. Usually October 15th is the big day in the business office. We get our finalized enrollments, open enrollment numbers, property values, equalized state aid, and we set our levy. So October 15th is a big day for us. But then we do have to come back, as we are today, to finalize what was approved at the annual meeting. School districts are allowed to have their annual meeting anywhere between July 1st and October 31st. And the sooner you have it in that period of time, the more your numbers will change as you go on. So I would suggest that next year we have it after October 15th, and then we wouldn't have to have this second part because we'd know all our information. So the only issue you have there is if you have it between October 15th and October 31st, you have to set your levy and get everything out to the municipalities by November 9th. So if for some reason something would happen at the annual meeting where something wouldn't get approved, you have a very short turnaround time. So that's why some people have it earlier, so everything's set. So the tax bills can go out. But you have a summary in front of you that just gives you some of the changes of what we projected versus what actually happened. Some of the things that came in are our summer school accounts. We projected an average of a 35. That's 40%. That's 40% that goes in the revenue limit of the students that attend summer school. That came back with a 40%, which equaled 55 FTE, which is amazing because we've never had that many people in summer school. So credit to Brenda O'Brien and all her staff that created great summer school classes. Hopefully we can keep that up. Our student counts, we projected to have around 3,813 students, and that was based on previous years, the quote unquote COVID year, and being conservative. We did end our count with 3,852, so plus 39 FTE that which helped us. It will help us in the future. I've always talked about our declining enrollment exemption. So our declining enrollment exemption, because we had more students, was lower. So that, I don't want to say it hurt us, but it did decrease the revenue we were allowed to get. So our declining enrollment exemption at the annual meeting was about 200,000, and we got about 41,000. So a decrease of about $160,000. But again, those 39 students will be in our count now and our average for moving forward. So that's positive. Our open enrollment in and out numbers, we projected pretty close. We were a little low on the budget. So there were some areas that had to move in there. We do project, as you know, open enrollment in and out can happen throughout the year. So you have your set third Friday count open enrollment in and out, and then you have to budget some areas because you don't know what's going to happen throughout the rest of the year. So that's currently budgeted and we watch it. I pull a report every Friday to see where we are at with open enrollment. One of the other areas is private school vouchers. We estimated private school vouchers. They are unknown. We can't know where the students are going. If they were our students ever, they could have never came into our district and we would have to have the vouchers. So we projected about 580,000. It came in at about 850,000. So that was an adjustment, but we are a pass through. We don't get any of the funds. We can levy the funds and the funds are sent right out. We we don't keep any of the school districts, just the pass through for that. Some of the other things that that were on there is property values. I did a conservative estimate of about 2.5%. Our property values increased on an average of 7.5%, which is great for our property values. And that's an average. That's not each municipality. That's an average of all our municipalities. So the mill rate was projected to be a little higher, or it was projected to be higher. It came in 38 cents per thousand less than what I was projecting. So again, another positive. Property taxes, I'm not going to say are going down, but the mill rate went down. If your properties are worth more, the property tax bill might be higher, but the mill rate per 1,000 is less, if that makes sense. So we were projecting our revenue limit to be $38,108,424. It came in at $37,370,503, which is about $740,000 less than what we projected, and that is because our state aid came in higher. So you'll continue, as you saw in the previous slide, that the state aid will continue to increase, and then the property taxes will continue to decrease. So tonight, I bring to you the 2021-22 final budget and tax levy for approval. And then if there are any changes throughout the year, it will have to come back to the board for approval if there's slight changes or grants change or any of those type of things. So the board will get notice and approval from here forward if any of that changes. Questions?
Okay, I guess not. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 final budget and tax levy as presented and adjust the appropriate accounts identified as the adoption format, which was presented at the annual meeting for final submission to the Department of Public Instruction as required, and certify the tax levies to each of the municipalities within the Germantown School District.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and action to approve ratification of the 2022, 2021, and 2021, 2022 GEA agreement. Mr. Southland.
Yes, and I'll pass it up to Mr. Noah.
Thank you. As a result of a final negotiation meeting on August 10th, 2021, a tentative agreement between the Board of Education for the Germantown School District and the Germantown Education Association has been reached for the 2020-21 and 2021-22 school years. A summary document of the tenant agreement has been provided to the board. And I would ask President Medved to speak to that. We ask that you approve and ratify the agreement between the Germantown School District and the Germantown Education Association as presented.
Thank you. Everyone has the proposal in front of them. I would say that this year, going through the 2 years was a little bit of a challenge, but I think it went very smoothly. The conversations were very good. Appreciate what the GEA brings to the table, and obviously we appreciate all of our teachers. I think if there's anything we could do to pay them more than we do, we would be happy to do it, but we live within, you know, the state aid and the budget constraints and taxpayer money, so we're limited to what we can do. But I am thankful for all that they do, and I think the fact that we're caught up now, and this is the first time I think since I've been here that we've been caught up on ratifying their contract and being a little bit ahead of schedule. So we definitely would like to continue that as well. Make sure that we're working on the year we're going into rather than working on the year we just finished. So, any other comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and ratify the agreement between the Germantown School District and the Germantown Education Association as presented for the 2020, 2021 and 2021, 2022 school years.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item F, discussion and action to approve donation from Germantown Boys Hoops Basketball and Germantown Girls Hawks Basketball Clubs. Mr. Snow.
Yes, both of these clubs have combined money to donate a couple things. First, they are donating the rims and padding in the main gym, which is used to be the original gym. At a cost of $3,725. And then second, they're upgrading the north wall scoreboard, which is a basketball scoreboard, but it's also can be used for wrestling and volleyball. And that cost is $7,805. Total amount, $11,530. I'd ask the board to approve and thank the basketball organizations.
I would agree. I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion to thank the donor for their generosity and approve the donation as listed.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item G, discussion and action to approve donation from Kiwanis Club.
Yes, the Kiwanis Club has donated $500 to Kennedy Middle School for the Best Buddies program. I would ask the board to approve the donation.
I'll entertain a motion.
I just have a comment first for transparency. I want to let everyone know I'm a member of Kiwanis. I do want to thank Julie Quigley, who came to the Kiwanis meeting and spoke about this program earlier this month to make us aware of the program. So I know the Kiwanis group is very pleased to make this donation. And with that, I'll make a motion to thank Kiwanis for their generosity and approve the donation as presented.
Second.
Give Ray the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item 8, the Board of Education will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 19.851F to discuss personnel, support staff, professional technical agreements. The board may take action in closed session if necessary or appropriate, or entertain a motion to reconvene into open session to take further action if necessary and appropriate, and to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
Will be going to closed session pursuant to section 19.851F.
Second.
Roll call.
Medved,
Yes.
Barney,
Yes.
Reineman, President Sonderberg,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
We are in closed session at 8:27.
Thank you all for coming and drive home safely.